On today's show, Chef Curry with the pot again comes up big. Is he the best player in the NBA? Why aren't more people saying this? Bunch of games. We'll break them all down. Nick Angstadt from Locked On Mavs, Adam Morris, Locked On Nuggets. We'll talk about it all right here on today's Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. And joining me, as always, on a Friday, Adam Morris from DNVR and the Locked On Nuggets podcast. What you got for me, Adam?
A sad Nuggets loss. A pathetic and sad Nuggets loss, but whatever. Lots of games on the slate tonight.
Yeah, did you ever think like, hey, I'll do DNVR and start this whole thing up with a bar, and then I'll also do Locked On Nuggets, and then like nights like this, you're probably like, man, I probably shouldn't have just like quadrupled down my life around this Nuggets team.
It's funny, man. You know how this is. Like if your team, because the Nuggets just had a back-to-back, and then they had 2 days off. And when you have those 2 days off, you're kind of like, oh, man, I'm excited for the next game. When's it going to get here? And then it gets here, and you just get curb stomped, and you're like, wow, I guess I could have used more days off.
Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every single day. Remember, Locked On NBA is free, available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can subscribe right now. Go subscribe, watch the video there. You can hang out with Adam and I. You can see when he face palms every time I make a bad pun or anything like that. You can.
What they can really see is my new lighting, my new ring light. It just looks so handsome. I can't stop looking at myself in this video.
The shadows are really working for you. This episode is brought to you by McDonald's. Proudly serving communities since 1965, McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center. A big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. Like Adam said, a bunch of games in the association tonight. Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers is where we're going to start. Golden State Warriors get the win 104-89. Cleveland got out to a 22-9 start in this game. And all of a sudden you're like, oh man, Cleveland without Evan Mobley, Colin Sexton, Jared Allen, Lauri Markkanen, all of them out. They're really shorthanded. Cleveland goes into the fourth quarter with a 13-point lead. You're like, man, they've really taken care of this game. They're really feeling it. No. Steph Curry, 20 points in the fourth quarter. They go on this run where basically they're down, like the Warriors are down 13 to start the quarter. By the 8-minute mark, it's tied. And then by the 3-minute 30 mark, they're like up by like 15. They went on a 24-5 run to start the fourth quarter. And it's just Curry over and over again. He's hitting threes. He's doing stuff. It's incredible to watch him when he's just like getting really hot.
20 points in the fourth quarter, 9 of 16 3-point shooting. Lots of stuff stands out. But what stands out equally as much to me is 8 points allowed in the fourth quarter for Cleveland. And yes, they're shorthanded. Yes, they're a young team now, and even more so, missing some of their key pieces. But this Warriors team, it's wild to me that so many of the pieces are new. Yes, you have Draymond Green, Steph Curry. Okay, those two most important. And you've even got guys like Iguodala. I don't think he played tonight, but even though you have him on the roster, the rest of the pieces are different. But guess what? This team has all the traits and characteristics of the 2015 and 16 Warriors, the pre-KD Warriors, the ability to go on enormous runs, the ability to lock down, Steph Curry just knowing when to turn it on and going for 20-point quarters. I honestly watched this team play, and I'm like, what year is it? It feels like I'm back in 2015.
Andrew Wiggins is like really fitting in the Harrison Barnes role. You got like Jordan Poole doing a Klay Thompson impersonation every once in a while, hitting some threes. But
even Looney does a bit of an Andrew Bogut. Like he just fits into that system. So that is a team that is connected, that knows who they are. And then, of course, they've got Steph Curry leading them there and putting up nights like tonight. 9 of 16. You know how many teams struggle to get 9 3-pointers in the basket?
I know. I cover the Mavs, and they've been struggling to get them in. Steph Curry, just absolutely incredible. The other thing that stood out to me, though, it was really reminiscent of that, pre-KD Warriors run. 41 made field goals, 36 assists for the Warriors. Yep. That's how they get it done, right? It's not just this heliocentric, Steph has the ball. Like, Steph barely ever brings the ball up at any given point. He does if he'll get a rebound or if he gets a steal or something like that, or if the ball just happens to like fall to him. But if they can help it, he doesn't bring the ball up. And he doesn't just start like standing in the corner, standing on the wing, waiting around. And maybe this is me just watching the Mavericks all the time, where they have one guy that brings the ball up every time, and then four guys that just stand around the perimeter. But Curry starts in the paint a lot, and he'll just like post up somebody, or he'll cut, or he'll, somebody will set a pin down screen for him. Like they move him around all over the place. He's constantly moving. I mean, it's not anything that we don't know already because we've watched him for so many years, but it's awesome just to watch him do his thing and to get it going and to know that you're not always going to see one look every single time. And I think that's what helps this team a lot.
29.7 assists per game is what they're averaging. Of course, that's a league best. It's actually best by almost 2 assists per game over the San Antonio Spurs and almost 4 better than the third place Phoenix Suns. And yeah, that's another marker. You said it perfectly. 36 assists tonight. That's a perfect marker for what we used to see all the time out of the Warriors back in 2015 and 16. It's so funny how good this team is and how they are good in the ways that we're familiar with. And I needed to see some road wins. They were in the Bay for like almost all of their season. They're on a road trip right now, and they've impressed. They dropped that first game to the Hornets, but after that, they've looked exactly the same. Not just winning, but closing teams out with one run. It might come in the first, might come in the second, might come in the third, might come in the fourth.
It's coming somewhere.
But it's coming, and one run that just like puts the game out of reach.
Oh, absolutely. Curry, you said it, 9 of 16 from 3. There's only one player in NBA history that has 10 or more games in their entire career with 9 threes made. So Curry has 37 of them. Nobody else has 10.
Or 38 now.
I guess now it's 38, but
yeah.
Insane. It's an incredible number, but why are we not talking about Curry as the best player in the NBA? All these conversations of, all right, who's top 5 in the NBA? Or is LeBron still up there? Could Kawhi get there? It's Durant's season this year. This is his league. He's taking it over. Giannis has finally stepped in. It's always, can Luka Doncic really take a step and get there? Why is Curry never in those conversations?
Well, so a couple things here. Number one, I've said this before. You might not know. I hate best player alive conversations. I just think they're always miss the point about basketball. But I'm not going to.
Should have been something you said to me before when I said, "Hey, do you want to have this conversation today?"
Well, the whole reason I do power rankings is because the whole idea of like ranking things is just dumb to me. So I like doing it as like a joke. But here's the thing I'll say that I think is interesting. This is why I don't want to duck this conversation. A lot of people, when I have heard these conversations, especially when they talk about Kevin Durant, like, okay, Kevin Durant or Curry, who's the better player? A lot of people think about basketball as one-on-one, like who's the most unstoppable, unguardable guy. One-on-one basketball is pretty unimportant relative to a lot of other things, and including 2-on-2 basketball game or 2-man game basketball or 3-man game basketball, meaning using you working together with 2 other people on a side of a court. You mentioned it. Steph Curry doesn't bring the ball up the court as much as most superstar does. It doesn't matter because the one-on-one aspect of the game, while he's also very good at this, he is phenomenal at working with one other player, namely Draymond, but really anybody else, coming off of pin downs, coming off of screens, running pick and roll, coming off of handoffs, cutting off ball, setting up cuts by screening. All of the things that require at least one other player, he is so elite at. And that's why, to me, I don't like best player conversations. But if you forced me to pick a best player, Steph Curry would be my pick. I think that he is massively underrated, and it is not a coincidence that he followed up all those great years. It was disguised a little bit because KD went there, but it's not a coincidence that here we are. Finally, they have a healthy team again, and they're number 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're playing like a team, and you just can't stop them at certain points because you don't know where everything's coming from, right? He doesn't bring the ball up. He starts in the post, and you're like, okay, Curry's in the post. Now we just have to worry about him, running back to the 3-point line. Guess what? He's gonna go inside, and he's gonna hit a layup on you, right? Or post up. Like he was posting up Ricky Rubio at times in this game, and Ricky Rubio's like, how do I defend in the post? I don't do this. And Steph just takes advantage of it.
He's unbelievable. And the shooting, it's just so funny how difficult shooting is and how there seems to be a cap on how good you can be as a volume shooter when everybody's attention is on you. And yet he is such an outlier in that. The fact that I think he led the league in 3-pointers made in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 21. And we'll do it again this year, almost no questions asked. We just don't see that. Anybody that dominates one skill set as much as he dominates shooting.
It's insane. You're watching history right now, so watch as many Warriors games as you can. All right, coming up, the rest of the slate in the NBA. We had a back and forth Clippers Grizzlies game until Ja Morant took over. If you want to stick around and hear about the Nuggets, how they got beat by the Sixers, I'm sure we'll have a breakdown on that. Lots of good stuff coming up, and we'll hear from some of our local experts across the podcast network. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is NBA daily fantasy done right. It's the best daily fantasy prop game on the market. It offers more NBA props than any other daily fantasy prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as the bench players. So it includes your Jokic's and your Bones Highlandses as well. Just getting a handful of minutes. You can go check it out on Prize Picks. You can go to the website, you sign in automatically, and then you can check out some of the things that you can put an over-under on. Right now, you can put Lamar Jackson playing on Sunday, 220 and a half passing yards. You can hit over-under on that. Let's see if I want to go, I'm feeling good about Lamar Jackson. Let me go over on that. And guess what? I can go over to the NBA, and I can pick over-under Nikola Jokic points. I can do Luka points, all that. You put how much you want to bet on there, and they'll tell you how much you can win at Prize Picks. So go check it out. Use the promo code NBA, and they will match your deposit up to $100. So you put in $100, they will give you $100 to use. Promo code NBA. Go to PrizePicks.com or download the app today. Prize Picks, promo code NBA. All right, Adam Mares, let's get into the rest of the slate in the NBA. I thought the next best game was going to be Wizards versus Heat. I was excited to watch that one. I turned it on and I was like, all right, this is the best team in the East according to record with the Wizards, and then the team that everyone thinks is probably one of the best teams right now in the Heat. Tyler Hero was out in this game for the Heat. The Wizards were without Spencer Dinwiddie, Daniel Gafford, Rui Hachimura still out, Thomas Bryant still out, Davis Bertans out. Wizards got out to a 15-8 lead to start this, and then the Heat went on two 9-0 runs basically, took the lead at halftime, and then just took over after that. It really was no looking back. The Wizards just kind of ran out of steam. They just didn't have enough offense. Their offense has really stalled recently. They've been this incredible defensive team this season. I think they're still top 5. Maybe they fell to like 6 or 7. They've been an incredible defensive team, but their offense hasn't been there, which is just so weird for the Wizards. But they just didn't have enough guys at a certain point. They're missing, all those names I mentioned, they're just missing too many. Dinwiddie was a big one. Gafford's still out. And it just wasn't enough for them. Bradley Beal tried his hardest. Kyle Kuzma had a pretty good game, 19 points, 13 boards, 7 assists for him. But yeah, Wizards not enough for the Heat, man. The Heat they're putting together a team that can beat a lot of people.
Well, it's funny. They went on that West Coast road trip and dropped 3 in a row. Denver lost the Lakers and the Clippers, and they needed a little bit of stability. They go into Utah and then Oklahoma City and pick up 2 wins to end the road trip, and then got back-to-back wins at home, New Orleans and Washington. This one also the front end of a back-to-back against Washington. So they played in Miami tonight. Then on Saturday they play in Washington, which is always a little bit. The schedule has so many weird little quirks like this year. Do
you like these little back-to-backs? Because the Mavs are in the middle of they're playing the Suns last game. They play the Suns again, and then they play the Clippers 2 times in a row. Are you a fan of these like little series?
I would be if it was you played them both on the road. I wouldn't mind if it was like that. But these like home and away, I don't know what the point is because you have to travel. Miami and DC not exactly close, so that's a little bit of a weird trip. But Miami, I wondered, the incident in Denver, they drop a couple games on that road trip. You wonder, like, okay, are they as good as advertised? But they've stabilized, and this was a really impressive win. And shouts to the Wizards, by the way, under new coach Wes Unseld, who was Denver's de facto defensive coordinator. He goes out there and he's got a great team despite all the chaos surrounding the roster. So kudos to him, even though they lost this one.
Yeah, missing a lot of guys. They're still up there tops in the East. So it's been an incredible job by them. It's kind of ran out of steam. By the way, the incident, Markieff Morris still out with whiplash.
Still out.
So that one, Jimmy Butler was great in that one. Bam Adebayo as well. They just have a lot of different options. Even with Tyler Hero out, they have enough scoring. They have enough to get it done. Clippers, Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies get the win 120-108 in this one. This game was another one. It was back and forth. You're feeling good. Third quarter, it's tied 75-75. Fast forward to the fourth quarter, midway through, and the Memphis Grizzlies have almost a 25-point lead. And it just was on the back of Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. just going on a run, getting out in transition. And Reggie Jackson is such a defensive negative for the Clippers at times that Ja Morant could just run at him and be like, all right, in transition, I'm just going to run to whatever side of the court Reggie Jackson's at and go right at him and score. And Ja Morant took advantage of that a couple of times in that run. and the Memphis Grizzlies end up taking advantage. The other thing, Memphis 74 points in the paint compared to the Clippers 36 points in the paint. I'm not sure. Can you win a game if you get outscored by 50 in the paint? Like, I'm not sure that can happen.
It's funny, the Clippers shot 41% from the 3-point line too, 16 of 39. So they had a pretty decent night there. But no, you can't get outscored in the paint like that. But I think I haven't checked it lately. Is he still the NBA leader in points in the paint, Ja Morant?
he may be, man. That guy, he gets to the basket, he jumps up, and all of a sudden he just goes to another level. It feels like he is fun to watch for sure. Jaren Jackson Jr. in that run, by the way, we should mention 7 points, and he had 3 blocks just in that little run where from the middle of the third quarter, middle of the fourth quarter, where they really took advantage of this game. His defense has been great for them. And then in transition, Brandon Clark had 10 points during that run. Great for Memphis to get a win. They needed one. I think they're back to 500 now.
They did.
And a really good one for Memphis.
By the way, I just looked it up. Ja Morant. Yep, number 1 in the NBA. 15.6 points per game in the paint. That's 1 full point better than number 2, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
How many starting centers can't score 15 points in the paint per game?
All of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the stats. Technically, everybody in the.
That's true.
The top. If I give you the top 5. You would think DeAndre Ayton, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay, that makes sense. All those guys make sense. Ja Morant, number 1. Wow.
He's the new Derrick Rose, Westbrook, and hopefully it works out longer for him than it did for those guys.
Yeah.
Jazz versus Raptors. We have the Utah Jazz getting the win. Just kind of they just really took over this game against the Raptors. There was another one where they were at a 5-point lead with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, you blink, and there was a 20-point lead. Let's hear from the Grand Poobah. What's the name we should call him? The namesake of the company, David Locke. Let's hear from him how the Jazz got this win.
Rudy Gay's return made everybody happy, and the Jazz 3-point shooting finally arrived. Hi, I'm David Locke. This from Locked On Jazz. The Utah Jazz blow out the Toronto Raptors 119-103. Story here, Rudy Gay makes his first appearance as a member of the Utah Jazz in his 16th season. He leads the Jazz in scoring with 20 points on 7 of 8 shooting, 5 of 6 from 3 in just 18 minutes of work. But the Jazz, who have the number 1 rated offense in the NBA, have not been able to find the stroke from 3 this year, shooting just 33%. But tonight against the Raptors, a season-high 19 threes on 34 assists by the group and balanced 7 different players in double figures as the Jazz ran the Raptors off the floor with a 119-103 win.
The Utah Jazz get Rudy Gay in this one. First game for him, and he comes out of the gate swinging. Is that a big change for the Jazz? Does that change anything up for you? You think this Jazz team is, the team that we thought they were?
No, I think there's no question that Rudy Gay is going to make an impact. I mean, obviously tonight he did in his debut, and it was I don't know if you can expect that from him every night, but it does just allow the Jazz to give a different wrinkle. I got to say, though, shouts to David Locke. Did not realize that the Jazz were number 1 in offensive rating. I had to look it up while he was talking. I was like, it can't be true. I have to look, but sure enough, they are. Look, Utah over the last 10 days or so they've also sort of needed to stabilize. And I wonder if tonight with the return of Rudy Gay is the shot in the arm they needed to climb back in the standings.
It felt like they needed one more player in their rotation, right? They were a team that was always like, all right, we got a real solid rotation. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, if Conley has a bad night or if Joe Ingles doesn't show up, then all of a sudden it's like a 6-player team at certain points.
I almost wonder if they just needed just something new about them. So it wasn't even just that they were a guy short or a rotation piece short. I just wonder if they just needed something fresh. And Rudy Gay, in theory at least provides that. And perhaps tonight, is what sparked all of this. But I think they just needed to not feel stale.
Yeah, absolutely. And the rest of us, I think that watch them, I think agree. that they could use something else. The Minnesota Timberwolves also needed a win for sure. Get a win against the San Antonio Spurs. Hey, if you need your offense to get right, play the San Antonio Spurs. It happened for the Dallas Mavericks. Now it's happening for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's hear from Ben Beecken from Locked On Wolves.
Ben Beecken with Locked On Wolves here. The Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the San Antonio Spurs by 15 on Thursday night. And what was probably the most complete offensive performance of the season so far for the Wolves, or at least since opening night, the big win over the Houston Rockets. The Timberwolves scored 115 points in this one, shot 48% from the field, and over 40% from 3 for the first time in a long time. Anthony Edwards scored the first 7 points of this game. He only scored 6 points the rest of the way. It was all Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell in this one. Cat had 25, 12, and 5, and was fantastic. D'Lo came on strong, especially late. Taurean Prince had his best game in a Timberwolves uniform, scored 13 points in only 15 minutes, hit 4 threes. He was actually ejected at the end of the third quarter due to a flagrant 2 foul. But all around, probably the best offensive game we've seen from the Timberwolves in almost a month. And the Timberwolves have now won 2 straight. They won both games in a back-to-back. We're going to break this whole thing down. Key takeaways, what was so much better about the Timberwolves offense in this one, and also the defense, by the way, holding the Spurs to 90 points. The Timberwolves broke out a mostly successful zone defense for the first time this season, or I should say it was successful, really, for the first time this season.
San Antonio Spurs, man, they're down bad. This team, I feel like, just keeps getting, everyone's like, all right, every time they have an opponent that's like, oh, we just had the best offensive game of the season. What's this San Antonio? I mean, their lone bright spot is Devin Vassell right now, who's kind of showing out. But other than that, man, this is a dark season in San Antonio.
I look around their roster and I look at them. I mean, it's early, but 4-11. I wonder if they're one of those teams that become, they go to the fire sale and there's players on there that other teams are looking at and saying, hey, that might be a big pickup here as a 8th rotation piece. A Thad Young or something like that. Maybe they're into Derek White, maybe enticing somewhere. But I have to give a shout out to the Timberwolves and to my guy Jared Vanderbilt. Only 6 points tonight, but 12 rebounds and a +28 tonight. I like to see that. 3 of 4. He plays 28 minutes, only takes 4 shots, but does all the dirty work. 2 blocks, 2 assists, 12 boards. Kudos to him.
Yeah, that Towns Russell duo can get it done against some of these teams too, which is
and I guess against some of these teams. Yeah, you're right. You know what? You're right. Against some of these teams, they can get it done.
Not many of them, but these teams, like the Spurs. So good win for the Timberwolves. All right, coming up, let's get into the last 2 games on the slate, or just the last game, right? We only have one more.
Yeah, we got one more.
Nuggets, Sixers, and then we'll get into our power rankings. The best cryptocurrencies to put your money into right now. We'll do the worst arena names, the top 5 worst arena names in the NBA from recent memory. We'll talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're absolutely delicious. And right now, they have the greatest flavor ever invented. Coconut brownie chunk. They're absolutely great. 150 calories, 15 grams of protein, 7 grams of sugar. I ate one today. As soon as I saw that they were available again, I stopped whatever I was doing and I went and I ordered a couple boxes. You can use the promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your entire order. Order a couple boxes. They're still there. They'll probably sell out. So go get them. This was the flavor that won the best flavor bracket out of the huge March Madness bracket they put together. So go check it out. Get it for yourself. Test it out. If you need something that's gluten-free, grain-free, or dairy-free, they have that as well. So go check it out. Built.com, promo code LOCKED15. All right, Adamars, last game on the slate. Last but certainly least for you. Philadelphia 76ers get the win 103-89. And I saw some tweets from you that this was one of the worst games that you've watched from the Nuggets in a long time.
It is painful. One of the stories around the Nuggets this season has been, one, they've just run into a bunch of injuries. Of course, Michael Porter Jr. has been out. Will Barton returned to this game, but he had been out for a little bit. They're searching for a bench unit that makes sense. And tonight their bench, you look at PJ Dozier plays 16 minutes of -24, Bones Highland 14 minutes of -21. They just could not be in the game. Jokic and Will Barton combined in the first half for 42 of Denver's 52 points. And I think actually, if you look around out, they combined for, what is this here? 50 of Denver's 89 points. So it was just a rough shooting performance from Denver outside of, their 2 main guys. Jokic did leave the game and go to the tunnel holding his wrist at the end. So that'll be something to kind of monitor going forward. We'll find out if they have a back-to-back tomorrow. They play Chicago. So we'll see if whatever it was that caused him to leave the game is something big. But on the other side, the 76ers, you have to tip your hat to Maxey. He goes for 22 points, lived in the paint. And then especially, who I thought that was the best player for the 76ers tonight, Seth Curry, 20 points, just got wherever he wanted to on the court, 5 assists, really was the engine for that team. And yeah, Philadelphia stopped a skid and got a big win on the road against Denver.
Continues to be one of the worst trades for the Mavericks, Seth Curry. Seth Curry for Josh Richardson.
Man. He was really good. I was impressed. So I think of Seth Curry as, just pure shooter, but he really ran the team tonight. Yeah. I mean, him and Maxey, but Maxey just lived in the paint. But I thought Seth Curry got to the spots he wanted, really got the team organized, everything. I was so impressed with his all-around game, and then obviously his scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. These Sixers have impressed me, right? They're missing all these guys. They have all the drama with Ben Simmons, and then they just like get together wins every once in a while. And you're like, dang, how did this team pull together a win with the guys that they have out there? But Maxi's been great. Curry's been great. It hasn't even been Tobias Harris. It's been really those two guards.
Yeah, and Maxi, he really gets where he wants to as well. He was great first step, got to the paint, finished his floater, all that stuff.
All right, let's finish off here as we do every Friday with our power rankings. I got a list. Top 5 weirdest, both NBA arenas.
So obviously this is coming in light of Staples Center no more. We are changing to crypto.com arena. First of all, do you think it's always going to be crypto.com arena, or do you think it'll be like crypto arena?
It got the .com is what got me. I was like, okay, yeah. crypto arena, like, okay, that's fine. You can call it the crypt or something like that. But crypto.com just takes it to another level of absurdity to me.
Too much. It's too much.
Also, what is even on crypto.com? Do I dare just go to it right now?
This is why you do naming rights, so people ask that very question.
Exactly.
Look at what their billions are well spent.
Oh my God, Matt Damon is on the front of it. I'm in.
Oh wow, Matt Damon.
It's just a video of Matt Damon walking towards you as soon as you open that website.
Ominous.
All right, here we go. Number 5 for me. This is NBA arenas that are currently or in recent memory, so it could be some older names as well. The current Suns arena name is called the Footprint Center. The Footprint Center.
Come on, man. That's the best name. The Footprint? I think it's incredible.
The Footprint Center. Okay. Footprint is this company that like reuses plastic and like recycles plastic. Brendan Clean was telling me about it today, and I was like, that does not sound like a company that would have enough money to have the money to buy the naming rights for an arena. So I'm calling it just based on there's something fishy going on with this. The Footprint Center. No, I'm not believing it. I'm out.
Sounds like a great company, so I tip my cap to them. And also, you're right. Almost all of these naming rights are giant corporations or banks, or some combination of that. So Footprint, I'm with it, man. Plus it sounds cool. Footprint.
I guess.
This is a top 5 for me, not bottom 5. Top 5.
Number 4 is crypto.com. That's a weird one, but it's only coming in at number 4 for me.
I'm surprised.
Just the shortening of crypto. Like, could they have gone straight cryptocurrency.com? Could they have done the whole thing? Is the roof big enough? Is the Staples Center roof big enough?
I think the letters are too big, hanging off the side there. Like
it's that John Mulaney joke, Big B. It's like writing happy birthday on a sign, and you write the first letter too big.
Oh man,
Can't fit the rest of it. So that one's number 4 for me. It's just weird. We've talked about it. Everybody's.
I will say I laugh at every single person that like has nostalgia for Staples. Like Staples Office Supply is like the lamest company. They exist because they have to, but there's nothing cool about them. People are like, man, I'm gonna miss Staples. You're like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Like, was Staples Center more like popular than actual Staples stores? Because anytime I ever went, I think I got this chair at a Staples. Anytime I went into a Staples, there's no one in there. So you're like, okay.
You went there because you needed to. You weren't like, man, gonna get the fellas together, go swing by Staples, or just say, hey, after work, I got my check. Let me see what's new at Staples. No,
and I always feel dirty going in there because they're putting out businesses like Dunder Mifflin. They're putting them out of business.
Hey, Dunder Mifflin Arena would definitely be top 5.
Number 3, I always thought this one sounded weird, and it just sounded like it should be more like in an amusement park than an arena. The Smoothie King Center.
Oh man, come on, that's the best one. This is number 1. What is this list?
Smoothie King Center.
I'm gonna wake up my kids. I'm screaming so loud.
Talk about a name where you're like, there's no way they have enough money for the naming rights of a building. Smoothie King.
Man, Smoothie King Center. I don't think I've ever had Smoothie King either. I don't think we have those in Colorado.
I don't know if anyone's ever had Smoothie King, which makes me think they're laundering money somehow.
That's so true. That is weird. You know what? You're onto something here.
All right, number 2. This is one that was actually in recent memory, not a current one. Sleep Train Arena. That one That's just the weirdest. That used to be the old Kings Arena, and then they changed it. They're like, all right, Sleep Train, that's not a good name. Everyone can agree on that. Let's change it to the Power Balance Pavilion. That's what they changed.
Oh, wow.
They changed their, and now they're the Golden One Center. But
yeah, Golden One is good. Sleep Train.
What a progression.
Yeah, Sleep Train.
All right, my number one worst arena name in the NBA. Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
For all the reasons I said about footprint and Smoothie King, and also just Little Caesars to me is like, all right, I have no other options. I'm stuck at the DMV. I have to sit and wait in line. I can't do it online. I literally have to be there. And there just happens to be a Little Caesars next to it. And so I walk over and I get a hot and ready $5 pizza. And by the way, if your pizza costs $5,
yeah, exactly.
how many $5 pizzas did they have to sell to get the naming rights of what was it before, the Palace of Auburn Hills? Like that's a great name, the Palace of Auburn Hills. To go from that to Little Caesars, gosh.
Little Caesars is not a top 10 pizza joint, like chain pizza joints. It might not be top 20, and I'm definitely couldn't even name 20 pizza joints. I just know it's not in the top 20. You said it, yeah, like the last resort. I would say it's more, for me at least in high school, it's like, you know, you have to find some money for lunch, and you're like, crap, man, I've only got like $1.50. What can I get?
In college, yeah,
or crazy bread or whatever. That's all I can do today.
I could live off of that and Cece's Pizza, right? You walk in and you're like, Cece's is like, hey, give us $12. You can eat as much as you want. I'm like, all right, here's a backpack with a trash bag liner in it. I'm just gonna
collect pizzas, a week's worth of pizzas.
Did I miss any? Did I miss any current ones?
I can't remember. I did this earlier. I can't remember if there was one that I thought was a little bit worse.
Arena names. There's like Amway Center in Orlando. That's like, eh.
Yeah. You know, I'm kind of, State Farm has randomly, they're not a sponsor of us, right? I could say State Farm is, I'm oversaturated with State Farm. I feel like State Farm has overdone it to the point where I'm annoyed of State Farm now. And then the last one was, TD Bank North Garden. It's just, you can't ruin you had the Boston Garden. That's too good. You can't ruin a good name and slap a sponsor on it.
That's a lot of words in there too.
Like you were talking about Sleep Train. Like, I don't know anything about Sacramento's arena. There's no history, this or that. But if you have the Boston Garden and you're like, hey, we're going to change it to the TD Garden. Like, no, you're not. I'm sorry, you ruined it. You
do Boston Garden presented by TD Bank or something like that, right? Like, do it that way.
Would you change what price would you change your name to be the TD Bank North Nick?
My personal name?
Your personal name. You can only ever be referred to as TD Bank North Nick.
There's a number.
What's your price?
I was going to say, there's a number. I'm going to write it down on this sheet of paper and I'm going to slide it across the table. The Moda Center was where I saw a Reddit thread of like worst names, and the Moda Center came up a lot. People hated Moda Center.
I don't know what Moda is. Maybe if I knew what it was, I would hate it.
I immediately thought it was like the cell phones. What was the cell phone?
Motorola?
Yeah,
I
don't think it's that. The Pacers arena is called Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
I love that. Nope, I'm with that one. I'm with that one. For one, it sounds like a person's name, so it doesn't even sound like a company. You can say, it's Gainbridge. Yeah, or a place even. And then Fieldhouse is just the best of all, like arena, center, Fieldhouse. That's the best one.
It just feels like they would have a field house in Indianapolis and not an arena or like a stadium, right? It's like,
yep.
It's definitely a field house city. I don't know why, but that just feels right. The Bucks is Pfizer Forum. That's just like a weird feeling word. Like when you say it, the V and the F together, just
you do spit a lot when you say that. Pfizer Forum, like you definitely spit a little bit, but Forum is also it's much better than center or arena.
The Nuggets one is just Ball Arena, right?
I think it's a great one. I think it's top 5. Ball. Another company that's all about sustainable manufacturing. But Ball Arena for basketball, that's perfect, man.
That works. That one works. So there you go. The rest of them are all named after banks and airlines and things that.
There's no cool banks.
No, Chase.
Yeah.
There's FedEx Forum. I think
Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse or whatever. That's a bad one. That wouldn't have been on my bottom list.
There you go. All right, that's our power rankings for the weirdest, worst arena names, sponsored by Crypto.com. Definitely not sponsored, but Unofficially sponsored by crypto. Sponsored by Matt Damon's video on the crypto.com website. All right, there you go. That's NBA Locked On NBA on Friday. Thanks for making us your first listen. Go and listen to Locked On Fantasy for the best. Josh Lloyd is the GOAT of fantasy basketball. Go check it out. It's the #1 fantasy basketball show on the entire planet. It's free and available on all platforms. Go check it out, guys. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA. Boom.